Oh, hello. I didn't see you there.
Hi.
Welcome.
Who let you in?
Welcome to Right
Fucking.
Now.
Yeah.
We are on site in a whole new location filming today.
My house. I'm
Alicia's
Alicia,
house.
by the way.
Our favorite guest star.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's now a regular star.
Host. Yep.
Yes. All right, we ready to get into it?
Let's hop in. So I hear you're going to talk to us a little bit about limiting beliefs. And we're going to have a discussion on that.
Yes. So during a meditation, Bashar's negative belief structure came very clearly to mind. I don't know if you guys have seen it before. We can post a link in this episode, but basically it is a series of behaviors that when you're engaged in, you can recognize that you're interacting with a limiting belief, a negative belief. And I had several really cool experiences where I realized in the moment I was literally interacting with a manifest negative belief.
Whoa.
Several of the elements of the negative belief structure are justification, rationalization, rejection, reward, projection. The key that I really were focusing in on, though, is the rationalization, justification, and rejection. And coming to the actual acute realization several times in the moment that anytime I'm essentially explaining myself to someone else from the perspective that I'm attempting to rationalize my point of view or justify my point of view because it doesn't stand on its own as it is, it's something that warrants further discussion. I'm literally like engaged with a person who's beautifully being a reflection of that negative belief for me. And it just really settled in like, shit, we talk about a lot of this stuff just kind of in the mind theoretical, but then you have those moments of experiential realization and it clicked in several times where I'm like, shit, this is all real and this is what's happening here.
So as reality was reflecting back to you in real time, personified in a discussion with somebody else is what I'm inferring.
Yes.
What did you do with it? How did you handle it?
I recognized the other side of the page that Bashar presented is the positive belief structure. And the elements of the positive belief structure are choice, freedom, growth, inspiration. But choice and freedom are the two ones I keyed in on. And the voice in my head was saying the only way to transmute or move past or move through a negative belief is to essentially embody a positive belief. So you have to give the negative belief the right to freely exist and allow it to be a valid choice and validate it as a choice and perhaps continually realign within myself the recognition, wow, look what I created for myself, and I can stay centered and I can stay loving and accepting of the negative belief that's being reflected to me despite all the excuses or projections, part of the negative belief structure, that I can come up with.
So in having this discussion, experiencing the limiting belief, realizing the positive, counterpart notion to it, what happened? What was the outcome of that exchange, or what happened with that belief?
Peace. I could see the energy start to peter out in the circumstance relatively quickly. And every time circumstances arose, and I've noticed this several times now, if I allow it, accept it, validate it, and then don't really energize it other than appreciating it as a valid thing, this huge like energy that builds just really starts to dissipate. Some other like not layman spiritual people, but like just generalized knowledge and experience would teach you if it takes two people to fight. So if one person wants to pick a fight and the other person refuses to fight and just agrees and says, yeah, you're right, there's nothing, there's like, the fight can't go anywhere. So it was cool to embody that. And actually I had another experience too, where in a meditation, I got really angry at a friend. All these thoughts were coming and I was like, all right, I can dissipate it. And the inner voice was like, nope, go pick a fight. Send him a text and say you want to pick a fight. So I sent him a text being like, hey, I'm going to pick a fight with you right now. Let's get together and fight. And this person like beautifully held a positive belief structure of allowing me to like spew my anger and negativity without rejecting it or judging it. They simply allowed it. And it showed me perhaps the perspective that I needed to then carry into other circumstances to recognize when I'm engaged with a negative belief. They offered me a vibration, very few words, because as Abraham always says, words don't teach, experience teaches. And I was recognizing, wow, this is a real life vibrational example of a positive belief allowance. And I watched myself dissipate all the negative energy and really have nowhere to go with it, and then ultimately like feel the acceptance and embrace of that.
Yeah.
You're a great questioner, by the way. A great
Thanks.
Interviewer.
Thanks. I like asking questions.
Yeah.
Curious. And what I'm I guess observing in terms of the recounting of this history as you remember it in this moment.
Yes.
Is it does, and you were starting to hit this at the very end. You were at this point vibrationally where your environment reality was reflecting back to you a new state of being, right? So in spite of being able to access this anger and the negative belief structure, there was also this simultaneous allowing of it and freedom that was presented to you. So nice job.
Thanks.
You've reached a new level. So, I just blew through this book called Busting Loose of the Money Game.
Yes.
And has a lot of quantum physics type ideas, very similar, simulation reality, that sort of thing. And it had an interesting approach that I hadn't heard before about, I guess, looking at processing and limiting beliefs. I guess it's adjacent to maybe some of the things that like Bashar says, or maybe a little bit of what Abraham says. But their big thing was drawing this parallel between our simulation reality and like Hollywood movies, and how detailed Hollywood directors and producers and special effects and hair and makeup and all these people, graphic people, are in terms of producing this make-believe land, right? That we see in movies. And the reality is, if this is a simulation reality, right, like we've got the universe's best directors, producers, et cetera, et cetera. And so in having these moments when we might be experiencing a negative emotion, resistance, some sort of discomfort, right? Realizing that our higher beings, our inner selves, have like put on the best production in the universe for us to be able to even access and hold that limiting belief, right? And I just thought it was such an interesting way to look at a situation, a scenario, a moment, and as you're experiencing this discomfort, you could be like, fuck, nice job, reality. Like, we are doing such a good job. I have this illusion that I'm separate, I'm not connected, I'm not one with everything and everyone. And as a result, like, I am experiencing this negative emotion, and now, because I know what it is, I know what's going on, I can be grateful for it, and I can extract the power back from it. So I thought that was just a really interesting analogy to take on that limiting belief. So if I think about like the positive aspects, growth, inspiration, freedom, gratitude, right? Dr. Joe says the state of gratitude is the highest state of receivership, or something like that. So all these different teachings coming together in a nice little package.
They complement each other nicely, and I love that you mentioned that. It's no coincidence at all.
No.
It's complete synchronicity, because this was the other topic I was interested in starting with.
Perfect.
Dr. Joe has this quote. It's something along the lines of, your environment is an extension of your mind. It's one of those quotes where you go, but if he literally means your environment is an extension of your mind, he's essentially implying there's no outside. And as I was contemplating this topic, I came across another, I guess you wouldn't say he's a channel, but another teacher, Rupert Spira, who I listened to a while ago and then kind of forgot about, but he came back around to me, and he is huge in presenting an argument, or not an argument, a suggestion of what reality is based on our own personal experience. And he makes such a great logical string of considerations to lead to the realization and the recognition that there literally is no outside, and there's no way to prove that there's an outside. Our experience is that thoughts are occurring inside, and it appears that sensations of the body and other people are occurring outside, but actually they're still occurring within our own perception of it. And one of the arguments he makes, and I'd recommend watching his videos if this sounds interesting because he does such a better job of it, but the concept that there's no way to sense the border to your own consciousness or your own awareness, and suggests there's no way to recognize or place to recognize where your awareness ends and where someone else's begins. And he's like, well, let's just touch consciousnesses now, or let's go to the end of our consciousness. Let's step outside of our consciousness. There's nothing other than the knowing of thoughts, perceptions, sensations. And even though this illusion suggests there's an inside and an outside, they're all actually occurring within inside.
Well, and that aligns really nicely to Abraham saying, you know, you can't create in somebody else's reality because it's not somebody else's reality, right? It's my reality.
100%.
So, yeah, it all... Excuse me. Tea break.
Tea break.
Tea break.
That's fucking deep, though, and fucking real. Like, all these statements these teachers we're interested in making are not proverbial or figurative in any sense. They're 100% literal.
They're very profound, yeah.
You're the only one in the room. And when Bashar says, take me literally, you're the only one in the room perceiving whatever version of another being that you're deciding to make up for yourself. But essentially, there's really no way to interact with someone else because there's no borders to our own consciousness. And that idea it's a holographic reality, if all that is, or God or source or whatever, literally split itself down, it would be holographic in that all the parts would contain the information of the whole within it. It would just be a different experiential perspective, but all of us are all that is.
I love this. You know, and I've had this discussion before. I've been, you know, I guess a contributor of this discussion where some people say that, you know, Abraham is for the masses, Abraham is approachable, that sort of thing. And I actually think it has to do with where people are at in terms of their understanding of what Abraham was saying, right? To the point of, like, you can't create in somebody else's reality. That is quantum physics. She's talking quantum physics right there. And it reminds me of a different discussion and Abraham that I watched recently, where it was this question of, does the universe challenge us? Does the universe test us? And I think that there's maybe a little bit of a different thought between at least Abraham and Bashar, slightly different. But what Abraham was saying was, no, absolutely not. Law of attraction never gets it wrong, right? If we are experiencing something in a reality and we might perceive it as a test, it actually has to do with our vibration. It's just the law of attraction reflecting back for us what we truly have going on in our vibration. It is not a test. Now, where I think Bashar might talk a little bit differently about it, and feel free to clarify, is this idea of, like, we will sometimes get echoes of a previous vibration, and in that echo, it's a question of, are we going to respond how historically we believe we had responded versus are we going to respond we believe differently today? So
100%.
Yeah, it's all us. The environment it's all us. One big holograph. That's mine.
Yeah,
it's my holograph.
It's all us. And I was thinking a little earlier about jumping off from the idea of confronting your fears or meeting your fears in physical manifest form. Then when you sit with that concept long enough, you realize the fourth law, what you put out is what you get back. So it's not like you're confronting your fears. I've simply been choosing to put out a vibration, and now the mirror is reflecting it back to me. And that idea of test, it's just the reflection of what you've been putting out. And Bashar has that quote, the measure of change is not whether the outer world changes, it's whether you feel differently despite the outer world looking the same. And that would be the way to validate whether you've actually changed or not, right? You can say in any moment, I've changed, but you don't know you've actually changed until you're confronted with the physical manifestation of the belief and you choose a new perspective or a new action that elicits a new emotion within you despite the circumstance being the same. Because we all know from everyone, crystal clear, emotions are just a dashboard indicator. They're just a compass. They don't have a mind of their own. They don't have an agenda of their own. They're simply the indicator telling you your focus is aligned with your true self or not aligned.
Exactly. That's great. So that
That said,
I got a speeding ticket today.
outstanding.
Yeah.
This must be benefiting you in some
It's
magnificent
clearly
way.
benefiting me. Last one I got in October was dismissed.
Oh, that's right.
just like a few weeks ago.
That's
so,
right.
What do we think it says about my vibration? What am I putting out that I got a speeding ticket? I will say, I was going 90 in a 65, and the cop only got me at 83. So I thought that was
Nice.
awesome.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was good.
Do you feel like your reality is limiting you from going as fast as you want to? Do you feel like you want to go faster and people are telling you to stop? Or you're saying, I know myself, and they're saying, no, you don't know yourself, or you don't
How
understand.
am I being held back? It's a feeling of being held back. Well, to me, what was comical after the fact was when I was speeding, I was on the phone in a discussion with somebody, trying to get somebody to understand my perspective.
Shit.
So I was pushing against a thing. I was pushing against, what reality was reflecting back to me. And so I love that I just had this like very loud, bright manifestation being like, hey, stop, you're doing it wrong. So
Damn, that is magnificent.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Because everything is in the moment, so resistance would beget resistance.
Yeah. It was fun. Officer was super nice. Still gave me a ticket.
Yeah.
We'll contest it. It'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the idea of resistance is so fascinating because if it's a mirror, it doesn't really care about the content. It would only care about the vibration and reflect the vibration. I was at a stock training seminar today, and my favorite part of it was the instructor, the main guy teaching the class, was so enthusiastic, so excited about stocks. You could see he didn't really care about winning or losing. What he loved was the game itself, all the analysis techniques, all the understanding of how things work. One element that's coming to mind, he had several people come up on stage, other instructors, to teach different segments with him, and they had this great back and forth dynamic. A lot of the other instructors made jokes which initially almost seemed like they were at his expense. And I realized from my improv comedy class what he was essentially doing in a very playful and light form was yes-anding all their potential insults. And the consequence of it was actually, I was noticing, more paradoxically empowering for him by not resisting or needing to correct the obvious falsity of what other people were saying, because they were kind of borderline where you were like, that one might be like an actual real dig. But the guy like yesed them and then threw another joke on top of it in a confident way. And I was feeling the vibration of lightness and ease and recognizing, fuck, that's what the mirror is actually picking up on. If I need to correct someone else, I'm just going to get another experience back where someone needs to correct me.
Yep.
So when I yes and, who cares at my expense? I'm not a real person.
Yes.
I'm a consciousness.
Yep. You got nothing to prove.
Got nothing to prove.
You're
the
here.
negative belief structure.
Yep.
Fucking A. Justify. Reject.
Yep.
Is it that literal? Every time I'm saying no, that's not correct to something, I'm playing with a manifest negative belief structure.
Yep, there it is. Every single time. And I think what's so fun about it is, if, at least with this new idea that I just learned from this book, is if I can look at that negative belief, recognize it, and be like, fuck yeah, I did it again. Nice job. Physical reality, right? Nice job. 3D illusion. I think it's a pretty fun and exciting way to approach some of these negative belief structures send gratitude towards them, transmute them into positive belief structures. So it's exciting.
Yeah. And it's not, I liked Dr. Joe's quote, it's not whether you react, it's how long you react. And then Bashar says, gives a window usually of 15 seconds. Abraham says 16 or 17 seconds. But both of them give that time frame in saying that's the time you have to feel the emotion and shift your perspective, shift your action, shift your belief before it actually gets integrated into your vibration.
Yep.
So the game is generous and fun, and 15 seconds is more than enough time to catch yourself, laugh at it, see the belief, and transmute it. This idea of needing long processes is super valid, and I choose now to not need anything more than really a 15-second period in most cases to recognize and transmute that belief.
Absolutely. There's too much fun to be had. So
There
like,
is.
let's drop the negative belief and go fucking have some fun.
Woo!
Cool. That said,
I feel magnificent.
should we go have some fun?
We should go have some fun right
Fucking
now.
now. Bye.
I think we should do let's do a lean in back to back. Serious face.
Hold on. We got a friend down here.
Is the friend Coconut? Oh, you gonna bring her up? We were petting her a little bit during this episode, so if there's weird hand movement,
Right.
guest star Coconut.
Right.
Fucking. Can we do a doggy fist bump? There it is.
So cute.
See you guys.